Good afternoon, and welcome to ArtPride's 2021 annual membership meeting. If you need closed captioning, please either visit the info desk in the lobby or in the chat right now. One of the team members is going to post some information on how to enable Google's live caption in Chrome. So again, good afternoon. My name is Adam Pearl. I'm president and CEO of ArtPride New Jersey. I am a white cisgender male in my early 40s with short brown hair. Today I'm wearing a blue and white checkered shirt and a blue jacket. Behind me is a beige wall with a picture of a desert flower. My preferred pronouns are he and him, and I'm coming to you from Bridgewater in Somerset County, the ancestral home of the Lenape. And with me today, happy to have Allison Lorena, who is chair of ArtPride's Board of Trustees and president and CEO at Mayo Performing Arts Center, and Isha Vias. Isha is our secretary of our Board of Trustees. Isha chairs our planning committee for today's annual membership meeting. And in her spare time, Isha is also the division head of the Arts and History Program Services in the Arts Institute of Middlesex County. Welcome, Isha and Allison.
Thank you, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, with so many members and friends. I am Allison Lorena, and I am a white female with auburn hair, wearing a black shirt, pink jacket, and glasses. My pronouns are she and hers. I come to you from the Mayo Performing Arts Center. I'm in my office right now in Morristown, which stands on the home of the Lenape people.
Thank you, Allison and Adam. Another year and another exciting annual meeting. Hello, everyone. My name is Isha Vias. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'd like to acknowledge my ancestors and my Asian Indian ancestry. I have black curly hair, wearing a red blouse, and my background is a white wall. I'm coming to you from Woodbridge Township, the land of Lenape people. Proud to be here. And so I'd like to we begin today with the land acknowledgement. Joining us this afternoon is Cliff Matthias. He's a director of the Red Hawk Native American Arts Council. Cliff, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you. My name is Cliff Matthias. As Isha said, I am the cultural director of the Red Hawk Native American Arts Council. It's the only indigenous arts council in the entire state of New Jersey. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to give this land acknowledgement on behalf of the Ramapo Lenape and my good friend, Chief Dwayne Perry. We all are in this sort of mindset where giving land acknowledgements has become such a common thing and an important thing. It hasn't always been this way. Being in the arts for 30 years, it's a very pleasant change where we are acknowledging the people of the land. I myself am right now I am in South Amboy, New Jersey, home of the Raritan Lenape. I'm wearing my regalia. I have a Kayapo headdress on and a ribbon shirt, and behind me is a buckskin or war shirt. I go by the pronouns of him and his. And again, it's a pleasure for me to remind us all that we are on the homeland of the Lenape, depending on what part of New Jersey that we're in. I myself am in the Raritan, the original homeland of the Raritan Lenape. And so, it is common practice when we ask for permission to be on the land, when we ask for permission to gather on the land, that we sing a song or give a song out of respect and honor. And so what I will do now is play a flute song. And the flute song talks about love. The origins of the flute song are about love and how we all coming together. And although in many of the places that we gather, the original people of the land are no longer there, their spirit, their ancestors are still there. And we still want to always acknowledge, especially here in New Jersey, that we're acknowledging the three bands of Lenape who are here. The Powhatan, the Ramapo, and the Nanacoke. Thank you. I want to wish everyone a very beautiful day and the great work that you're all doing. Being an artist myself and the cultural director of an arts council, and such acknowledging the importance of us art leaders coming together and working on behalf of our communities. So again, I'd like to say thank you so much, and have a beautiful conference.
Thank you, Cliff. So appreciate you and the performance and your time with us today. Thank you so much for being here. Truly wonderful.
Thank you.
So now we're going to spend some time, Allison and I, giving you some updates on Art Pride. This is our annual meeting. And although the past year has continued to be challenging for New Jersey's arts community, we at Art Pride are thankful for the successes and progress of our organization. In particular, the board and staff embraced a necessary evolution of Art Pride to be at the intersection of arts and social justice. We aspire to be an anti-racist organization with clear goals and specific actions, and be accountable to our promise to seek social justice for historically excluded and oppressed artists, arts organizations, and audiences. We are committed to using the power of arts as a means to healing and justice. And while Art Pride seeks equitable access to the arts for all, we believe that creating, sharing, and experiencing art is crucial to the well-being of individuals, communities, and a functioning democracy.
For the past year and a half, throughout the pandemic, Art Pride's board, staff, volunteers, and consultants have worked hard to shape a plan on how our organization can be more diverse, equitable, and inclusive in every aspect of our work. And last year, we shared the results of Art Pride's assessment that identified organizational gaps. That data informed countless hours of conversation and goal setting, which led to Art Pride's Board of Trustees approving an equity, diversity, inclusion, and social justice value statement and a strategic action plan. The overview of that plan is now available on the Art Pride website, and a link will be included in the follow-up to this meeting.
And in order to provide a sense of what those actions look like, we want to share with you a portion of the value statement that outlines Art Pride's objectives, both internally as a nonprofit organization and externally as the state's largest arts service organization. So this is absolutely a dual view of the way the organization works. We're looking internally here on how we honor the diversity of artistic expression, especially in the content we produce, how we evolve our organization's practices to include historically excluded communities, how we have our distribution of power and wealth between staff and board, and how we nurture that relationship, and how we grow and evolve as an organization, and then how that all plays back to our value as an organization. But Art Pride is unique, so we have to look externally too. We have to operate as we are the statewide art service organization. So we're also looking about how what we do affects the larger industry. And so listening to organizations that we traditionally have not had relationships with, repairing relationships that have been broken, ensuring access and collaborating, connecting our partners with each other so that that support exists, and really assisting in any way that we can, especially in terms of our mission around advocacy and promotion and advancing the arts. And I do encourage you to go take a look at our value statement. It is the work of, as Allison said, of board and staff and members, and much more detail than we can go into today. So I really encourage you to take a look at that. It is artpridenj.org/EDI, and we will include that in the email follow-up. We are also launching an independent advisory committee to elevate the voices of underrepresented and marginalized artists and arts organizations amongst ArtPride's members, partners, and individuals. And while the concept of the committee is still in its infancy, they've just had a few initial meetings. The goals include advocating for members' needs and the needs of the New Jersey arts community, helping build better relationships between ArtPride and members, and developing a pipeline for future board and staff, both for ArtPride and the field at large. So please be on the lookout for a call to action on our independent advisory committee as it's cultivated by staff and volunteer leadership in the months to come.
And as part of our commitment to the field, ArtPride will collaborate with the New Jersey Theater Alliance to expand on the momentum from the Creating Change conference that took place in April of this year. You can expect to see multiple opportunities to engage, learn, and grow virtually and hopefully in person as we move into 2022. And thank you, John McEwen and the New Jersey Theater Alliance team, for always being such amazing friends and partners. And throughout all of this work, as ArtPride continues to evolve, the board and staff are committed to transparency and the highest standards of accountability. And that's why we shared and posted the assessment last year. And that's why the strategic action plan is on the website for you to review.
Absolutely. So progress will definitely be defined by actions. And so to do that, we must consistently listen to and report back to you, our members, our partners, and collaborators to ensure that ArtPride's path and work remain true to the ongoing structural work of dismantling racism and supporting historically excluded artists and arts organizations in New Jersey. Amidst all this soul searching and goal setting, it's important to reflect on a few other evolutionary events of this past year. And this is yet one more moment that we could not pass up to celebrate the historic increase in appropriations to the New Jersey State Council on the Arts to $31.9 million for fiscal year 2022. This is the result of 15 plus years of advocacy and education involving our elected and appointed officials. And we just want to thank each and every one of you who participated in our grassroots outreach. What stands today is true bipartisan and bicameral support of the arts in New Jersey, one that we are confident will continue as we ride this long road to recovery together.
And as Adam said, the increased appropriations really are historic. Thank you to the entire team led by Anne-Marie Miller, ArtPride's Director of Advocacy and Public Policy, and Sharon Harrington, Chair of the ArtPride Government Strategy Committee and immediate past Chair of the Board. Thank you for your amazing work. The advocacy efforts don't stop with the state budget. ArtPride works year-round to ensure support at the federal level for the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for Humanities, and more. At both county and municipal levels, ArtPride works with local leaders in support of funding and strategies that embrace art in their communities. Interest continues to build as ArtPride and partners develop the New Jersey Mayor's Committee for Arts and Culture. We are grateful to continue to serve the field with regular webinars that offer information on funding, recovery, and other resources to help artists and art organizations succeed in this challenging environment. Starting soon after Election Day, which is 1 week from today, you will be hearing from ArtPride as we coordinate a grassroots effort to secure funding from the American Rescue Plan for the continued recovery of our arts and cultural community. This is a top priority for our team, and we will need your help.
Absolutely. We're only as strong as our collaborations and our collaborators. ArtPride's success in the last year and any future achievements really are the result of the hard work of many joining us today. While we're noting important partners, we'd like to express our gratitude to our organizational funders. I think we have a slide with their logo somewhere here, but let me thank the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. Allison Lorena and her team, of course, are major partners for our organization. And of course, thanking the National Endowment for the Arts, the Geraldine R. Dodge Foundation, the Grunnin Foundation, New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism, FM Kirby Foundation, and the Hyde and Watson Foundation. We're so grateful for your continued partnership and the support of so many, which is crucial and that ensures that ArtPride has the resources it needs to serve its members.
The partnership with the New Jersey State Council on the Arts directly funds Discover Jersey Arts, the only statewide multidisciplinary audience development campaign. In the past year, we've been able to utilize the Jersey Arts at Home and Live campaigns, as well as a Summer Stages campaign, as innovative marketing outlets that highlighted the creativity of the New Jersey arts and cultural community during the pandemic. Your work, which we are so grateful to promote, has truly been inspirational and impactful.
Absolutely. Discover Jersey Arts' direct marketing efforts produce significant impact, including just over 1 million visits to the website, still have more than 50,000 individual member patrons and nearly 100,000 email subscribers. In addition to the pandemic-related campaigns over the past year, DJA published more than 70 feature stories. Well, you see, there are 110,000 podcasts, 140,000 views of our video segments.
Just a few weeks ago, we launched the Discover Jersey Arts reopening campaign branded The Moments You've Been Waiting For. The campaign was created in collaboration between our amazing team, New Jersey State Council on the Arts staff, and volunteers from across the state that served on a Jersey Arts Marketers Task Force, as well as our professional marketing firm, Spark Creative. Funding for the campaign is from the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. The campaign is live at jerseyarts.com and features COVID safety messaging, a searchable directory of arts organizations, and a rotating list of featured events. Alongside the campaign and under the Discover Jersey Arts brand, we will continue creating and distributing our own content. Advertisements will appear on streaming and broadcast television, transit, social, and digital. Most of the advertising has been rolling out this week. The campaign will continue running through late November. We are excited to share 2 of the campaign spots with you now.
Hey, Jersey, we know it's been a while, but creativity never sleeps. Behind the scenes, we followed our passions, sought inspiration in new ways, found the right words, notes, and movement. Finally setting the stage to tell your story, her story, and their story. Now it's time for the show to go on. We're open and ready to welcome you back safely. Come experience the moments you've been waiting for. Find yours at jerseyarts.com.
They really are truly inspiring ads, and I really like to thank the entire team that helped launch the campaign. In particular, Jim Atkinson, our Director of Programs and Services, and Corin Reif, ArtPride's Marketing and Communications Manager. Discover Jersey Arts is set for a terrific new year with the return of many seasonal campaigns. And we're going to actually discuss some of these campaigns, including this reopening campaign and some upcoming holiday marketing at the next Jersey Arts Marketers, or JAM, as most people know it, webinar on Wednesday, November 10th at 10 a.m. And we are also deep in the works to launch a completely redesigned jerseyarts.com in 2022. So we're going to keep going along because we have a little bit more of updates and we want to get to our keynote. So 2021 and 2022 will actually also be the first time ArtPride has ever hosted the Thrive Arts Conference in consecutive years, of course, alongside our partners at the New Jersey State Council on the Arts and the Lewis Center for the Arts at Princeton University. This past June, many of you attended the virtual conference that occurred as a result of pandemic postponement. Plans are already underway for us to return in person or perhaps a hybrid model for June 2022. So please stay tuned for more information as we go into the new year.
And we're happy to also announce that ArtPride has helped grow membership by launching a free introductory membership program in January that has welcomed more than 50 new member organizations. This brings ArtPride's current membership to more than 250 organizations, partners, and businesses. Thank you to Megan LeBeau, ArtPride's Membership and Development Manager, and Vincent Hall, ArtPride's Advocacy and Community Engagement Manager, for their work in welcoming new members and seeking out new partners. As many of you know, in March 2020, ArtPride made the decision to suspend membership dues without suspending benefits. Membership billing is projected to begin again in 2022, and we will share more information as January nears. We are hopeful that ArtPride's work merits your renewal, and we are grateful to those organizations who paid what they could despite dues deferral. Despite the financial strain of deferring membership billing, ArtPride ended fiscal year 2021 with a modest surplus, in large part due to pandemic relief funding and the continued support of the aforementioned sponsors. We've continued to expand the board with focus on strong governance. I'd like to take a moment to recognize my colleagues on the board, many of whom are joining us today. Thank you so much for your dedication and hard work. And this year we had a few trustees retire from the board. We'd like to take a moment to recognize the service of Bob Morrison of Quadrant Research and Arts Ed New Jersey, Jeremy Johnson, former Executive Director of Newark Arts, Assemblyman Jim Kennedy, and David Genova of Greenwood Development and the Wellmont Theater.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you to Bob, Jeremy, David, and Assemblyman Kennedy for their service. In addition, we brought on new trustees, Heather Barberi, who is the Executive Director of the Grunnin Foundation, Anthony Smith, Executive Director of Lincoln Park Coast Cultural District, and the board also welcomed back Marjorie Nathanson, Executive Director of the Hunterdon Art Museum. ArtPride's Governance Committee, which oversees the board cultivation and nomination process, is seeking your suggestions for trustees. The attendees that are here, our members, our partners, our collaborators. We've created a page on our website that has more information about board service and responsibilities and a form where you can submit suggestions directly to the committee. We'll make sure to include a link to that page in our follow-up email, and I'm sure you'll hear us reference that coming up.
Before we move on to our next speaker, we'd like to thank the team behind planning today's event. Thank you to our annual membership meeting committee, chaired by Isha Baez. Isha had a great group on the planning committee, including Pam Brandt of Symphony and C, and Andy Chang of 90 Chen Dance Company, as well as Vince Hall, Megan LeBeau, Anne-Marie Miller, and Adam Pearl from the ArtPride staff. Thank you for your work on the annual meeting committee.
And of course, I would love to thank the relentless, incomparable ArtPride staff. We've mentioned them all along the way, but I want to thank them again. They really are a great team to work with, and as well our independent contractors and contributors and partners that for the important role they play in ArtPride's success. And I do want to say a very special thank you to Megan and Vince in particular for really putting together today's event with the planning committee. Megan and Vince went above and beyond to make sure today was a success, and we're so grateful for them. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Alice, that was off script, but I didn't want Megan and Vince to know how much I was going to thank them.
Well, thank you, Megan and Vince, and of course, thank you to you as well, Adam. Secretary of State Tahisha Wei is a great supporter of the arts, and we are truly appreciative of her and her office. Secretary Wei is committed to civic engagement and understands deeply how art matters to the lives of New Jerseyans. With the election 1 week away, the Secretary is very busy, and we truly appreciate her taking the time to record some thoughts for us to share with you.
Good day to the New Jersey arts community, especially to our friends at ArtPride. Since 2018, it has been an honor to serve as your Secretary of State and work closely with the Arts Council, and I have enjoyed getting to know the work of ArtPride as one of the Council's most important and enduring partners. I wish that I could be with you in person today, but I am pleased to stand beside you virtually today and every day as we celebrate the strength, innovation, and tireless work of the ArtPride board, staff, and all of the supporters who have helped sustain ArtPride and its work throughout the years. The arts are a source of creativity, beauty, and pride. They are an essential part of our lives, helping us process, share, and connect over the human experience. They are a crucial part of our economy as the foundation of businesses and projects that employ thousands of artists and art workers across New Jersey. Engaging with the arts, whether as the artist or as their audience, makes us healthier and happier. It strengthens our communities, improves educational outcomes, and more. And of course, throughout this incredibly difficult time here at home and abroad, the arts have been a source of great comfort and healing. We are grateful that Art Pride advocates for the importance of the arts. Under your leadership, New Jersey's arts advocates were tireless in their work to increase state support for the arts, leading to the largest state appropriation in the State Art Council's history. Yes, the arts are integral to the recovery and vibrancy of New Jersey's communities and families, not only because the arts are a major economic driver statewide, but because the arts supports tens of thousands in this space. It's not just ArtPride's charge to secure more funding for the arts, but the many ways you support our entire state arts community through a number of programs that enhance marketing outreach, professional development, and much needed services in the field. So thank you for all that you do locally, regionally, and nationally to spotlight the excellence of New Jersey's arts while also bringing expertise, innovative partnerships, and new ideas back to our community. I can't wait to enjoy more of New Jersey's arts in person again. I'm excited for the new Discover Jersey Arts campaign, which will invite residents and visitors alike to experience the tremendous creativity we see in every corner of the Garden State. President Pearl, Chair Lorena, and the entire Art Pride team, another kudos for all that you do, and I look forward to celebrating many more years of Art Pride success.
And I'm going to turn it back over now to our event chair, Isha.
Thank you, Adam. And now it's time for a keynote address by Wes Jackson. Wes Jackson has more than 25 years of experience as an entrepreneur and innovator in the music business. His career began producing concerts for Nas, The Roots, the Dave Matthews Band, the Fugees, and a tribe called Quest. He then went on to start his own production company, Seven Heads Entertainment. Under Wes's leadership, Seven Heads expanded into a boutique independent record label and management company with his roster traveling the world as a vanguard for progressive and community-based hip-hop. In 2005, Wes founded the Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival and the mission to create a world-class event honoring hip-hop music and culture. The festival has hosted a range of amazing talent, including Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Kendrick Lamar. Wes has the City University of New York and has consulted for ABC's Soul of a Nation, Jazz at Lincoln Center, MTV, Grammy Camp, and VH1. He is currently a senior executive in residence and director of the Business of Creative Enterprise program at Emerson College. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Wes Jackson.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Isha. It's always a bit unsettling to hear those words read back to you. They sounded better on paper when I wrote them down, but thank you for that gracious introduction, and thank you all for having me welcome you as your keynote to this wonderful event. And well, just a couple things. I also want to echo the thanks of Megan and Vince, who've been very helpful and very professional and on it as we got this together. And also, I realized that I want to thank Allison and the people at Mayo Performing Arts Center, who I spoke with. It was much more in the height of what we call our COVID, our sort of hybrid year here at Emerson. Had a great hip hop lecture with them. And I also wanted to say I really appreciate Cliff's portion and really your introductions for, obviously the land acknowledgement, but also acknowledging the people who may not see the images that sometimes we all take for granted. So I just have to say that as one organization to another, I've never seen it quite done like that. I don't know if that says I'm hanging around with the wrong people, but I think it's more of a credit to what Adam and Allison were saying about the inclusivity and the anti-racism. It's a real example already that I've seen. And I know obviously a lot less about your organization than everyone here. So anyway, super excited to do this. When I was talking to Megan and said, this is what we want in the keynote is it's been a tough year, as the address was saying before. And I know we've all suffered in various ways, sometimes with the unfortunate loss of life, which is the most important thing. And then there's a lot more tangible or terrestrial things that we've suffered through. So I'm hoping I want to echo giving you guys your props and your kudos for making it through. And Allison said you had a slight surplus. I was listening to that part. I'm also chair of Brooklyn Crescent Lacrosse Club, which is a youth lacrosse organization. And we all thought we were all going to be done when everything got shuttered. So to come out with an annual report where you're a little bit in the black is quite special. So I feel you on that, Allison. That I think you should buy yourself a drink for that, because it was really tough. But I also want to give you guys some words of inspiration that have occurred to me or been revealed to me over these really dangerous times. And like I said, we have this sort of COVID year and we were all shuttered inside. I'm stuck on these Zooms and these cameras, not seeing our colleagues, not seeing our coworkers, our students, our mentors, our peers. But I don't know if you were like me, there was a bit of a silver lining in it, is I tend to be a bit of a workaholic. I've been labeled and running around between Brooklyn and Boston and different events. But the lockdown kind of forced me to slow down and really spend some time with my family. And I have, I don't know anybody out there, I got 2 teens and a toddler. So sometimes I was ready to get back into the office. I love you all if you're listening, but I know it can be a bit draining. But the beauty of it was it made us remember what's really important. And for me, it was obviously the family. That's the nucleus of everything. But there was other things that were important, and I think we were referencing it in Adam and Allison's introduction, is that people really appreciated what we all do, the arts. And it oftentimes happens, and I'm sure you all would agree, that when you come to the precipice, sometimes your vision becomes clear, right? The old cliche of it's darkest before the dawn. When things are going well, sometimes you just keep going day to day. Budgets are coming in, tickets are being sold, productions are run. Here I'm in Boston right now, and enrollments are up. It's great. Classes are running. You give exams. You keep it moving. But it's when you get challenged, right? And we like to teach that a lot here at Emerson, is that the lessons are oftentimes in the failures, in the struggles. When things are going well, people don't tell those stories 20 years later. We may laugh over a drink about it, but the real lessons come in the challenge. And I think what we're talking about today is how we looked at probably the end of all of our organizations, all thought about it. It all occurred to us in board meetings or quietly at home or over dinner or on the ride home, or again, sitting in the bar, like, am I going to get laid off? Are we going to be able to pay the bills? Is that production going to run? Are we going to be able to launch this exhibition? But something happened. I brought in a friend of mine. One, I want to acknowledge, I went to high school in Lawrenceville in New Jersey. I'm a Brooklyn and Bronx guy, but I love Jersey. So I'm happy to do this. But one of my friends from Lawrenceville, Robin Ottaway, is the owner of the Brooklyn Brewery, if you guys are familiar with it. And he said to me, this sort of now often misquoted, that the term in Mandarin for crisis, the 2 characters mean danger and opportunity. I've since come to realize that's a bit of a urban myth, but there's a good point in there. There's a good lesson in there as you unwrap that really, a crisis presents a danger, but on the other side is the opportunity. And I think what we should all really be enthused about is that I think we passed some of the worst of the danger, right? Your budgets have been renewed. Adam was talking about that. The money from the state is coming in. The wonderful words from the Secretary of State. COVID deaths and hospitalizations are going down. I don't want to jinx and say that the worst is over, but the danger, at least we faced it. And now we're coming out the other side of opportunity. And that's what you should all be excited that you survived. And not only sometimes you're surviving, really, but you're thriving. So that's it. I'm going to get to the point of my talk is, as Aisha said, is that I'm a hip hop guy. I'm a hip hop nerd. I'm a hip hop historian. I'm an entrepreneur. And everything I know is through the arts. I was a Black kid from the Bronx going to boarding school in New Jersey. I learned more about Black history through hip hop songs than I did in any curriculum for my whole elementary through high school years. So that idea of the importance of arts, I've always understood, because through those dark days of depression and anxiety as a teenager going through, it was the music that pulled me up. And if it's not sometimes in hip hop song, I just don't know it. I had a joke that I was going to say here, bad dad joke, is that when I heard Stevie Wonder's Pastime Paradise, I'm the guy who thinks, like, why is Stevie Wonder sampling Coolio? So I look at everything through the arts, and I truly, truly value it. But there's something that the arts gives us. The arts gives us a special power, and you guys carry that special power. The power of time, right? We can manage space and time because we can write a song about the Tulsa riots. We can make a production about the indigenous people of the land and move people's minds and bodies to a different time. We are magicians. We create magic, because what is magic but science that people can't understand? And what I've been sort of dealing with for a long time is this idea of us as magicians. And then led me to a concept of sorcerers, but leads me to what I'm going to really talk about today in my few minutes left, is the word alchemists. We are alchemists. And as I'm going to try and share my screen real quick, and hopefully this doesn't get too bad. Excuse me for a second, folks, as I try to do this, and I knew this was going to happen. Oh, not that. Go to the right screen, Wes. Sorry, folks. I'm going to get this done in a second. But hopefully you guys can see that. Hopefully somebody will ping me. If this doesn't sort of come through. But this idea of an alchemist. And what is alchemy, right? We may have heard alchemy as, we may have heard of alchemy as turning lead into gold. But if you've read this book, The Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho, I always mess up his name. I hate to doing that. But he really has to understand is that the alchemist is about turning nothing into something. The idea of lead into gold is just one of the many tricks of the alchemist. And what happened in my household, which was really cool, we had kind of like a bootleg book club, right? Because you got to keep the kids' minds sharp. I got to keep me and my wife from, staring at each other and wringing each other's neck, as you could do after 21 years, or there's only so much Netflix you could watch. So we really got into this book, The Alchemist. I actually wound up reading it twice. And without ruining the story about you, the story for you rather, the book is about a young man named Santiago, who is in seek of his personal treasure. And he moves from Spain, and he moves, as you can see from the picture here, to Northern Africa to find his personal treasure. And along the way, he meets various people, including the alchemist, who essentially teaches him the lesson to step into your power. And the idea is that everyone has a personal treasure set out for them, but oftentimes people are oftentimes scared to achieve it. And I just lost my screen here a little bit. Sorry, guys. But I know I want to sound really smart and intelligent here as I talk about these sort of lofty ideas. But I really got all of this from a Jay Electronica song because, again, I'm a hip hop nerd. But I wanted to include this quote as I set this up from The Alchemist. We are travelers on a cosmic journey, stardust swirling and dancing in the eddies and whirlpools of infinity. Life is eternal. We have stopped for a moment to encounter each other, to meet, to love, to share. This is a precious moment. It is a little parenthesis in eternity. That's what we do in the arts, right? Capturing this moment to love and share each other. And as Adam said, create an anti-racist society and respond to the challenges of today, whether it be the misinformation of COVID and the deaths that it was brought, or the Black Lives Matter protests after the murder of George Floyd. What are we going to do forward, moving forward to capture this moment of love is really what I want to talk to you about. And again, with this, the magic that we have as the alchemists, as in the book, is what all of you all are holding, that power to achieve your personal journey. And I just want to talk a little bit about myself. Is, as Aisha said, is I created an event called the Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival, and it was magic, right? I did create something out of nothing. I was in New Orleans in 2004, right? Eating crawfish and beignets and adding to my beer belly that it needs to go down already. But listen to Femi Kuti and Trombone Shorty, and I said to myself, why isn't there something like this in Brooklyn? Something that can celebrate the city of Brooklyn and the food and the culture. And I know all of us have had that sort of idea that hits you like a lightning bolt. That's magic, folks. That is magic. That is the power that Santiago talks about in The Alchemist, to make something out of nothing. The nothing in this instance was just an idea in my head. Anyway, I won't bore you with the story. This is within 9 months, I had created a world-class festival that really lived out, really so many of my dreams. And I really kind of stumbled upon this great idea, which the arts do. They put us in a state of mind. They put us in a different space and plane where we can do things that we never have done. So then again, this little, chubby Wes Jackson from Boynton Avenue in the Bronx, all of a sudden is making magical moments that are indelible moments. Here, we have Kanye West came in 2011. For my Kanye fans, this is the only time he played New York during the Dark Twisted Fantasy. I had interns coming up to me in tears saying that I never thought I would meet Kanye in person, and you did that for me, right? That is power. That is magic. That is more than just, catering and sound and electricity, as so many of us realize that's what our lives come down to sometimes. Another picture here, one of my favorite groups of all time, A Tribe Called Quest. That's Q-Tip on the right, Busta Rhymes on the left. Kind of got these two brothers together in ways that they had never done lately. Then they went on to record an album. Here's a picture of Kendrick Lamar in the middle with Schoolboy Q closest to us. For our hip hop fans, we did Kendrick Lamar's very first show in Brooklyn, very first festival rather, in Brooklyn, back when he was unnamed. Now, how many lives has he changed because of the magic that we created? That is power. That is the power to do right in the world, to make the world a better place and help people find their personal treasure, just like Santiago and The Alchemist. And that is what you all are doing on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, as you are looking at the precipice for the last year and a half. Again, personal treasure. When I was a young man, I wanted to be Spike Lee. I wanted to make films till I was on the film set and I realized there's too much waiting around. I'm too impatient for that. But here is Spike at my festival. And Wes Jackson was able to create something to bring Spike Lee here when I spent a greater part of my life chasing him. Magic. It's magic. It is power. And then, probably one of our crowning moments was at our 10th anniversary when we got that young man in the middle, Jay-Z, to fly across, actually he was in MetLife Stadium, took a helicopter and played, our festival after struggling for over a decade to try to get him. But what did Jay-Z see? He saw what we were doing. He recognized the power of our event and spent his own dime, his own time to come and rock with us. So you can't tell me that this is not sorcery, that this is magic. If you are like what I like to call civilians, which is kind of like, I don't mean that in a derogatory term. But from the outside, people are like, how? I had people at Def Jam saying, Wes, how did you get Jay to come out? I got to pay him $100,000 to come to a meeting. What did you do? And to me, it was hard work, dedication, press releases, tweets, Instagrams, phone calls. But to the outside, it's magic, right? I'm turning lead into gold. I'm turning nothing into something. That's what you all are doing every day. So I'm here just to let y'all know from the outside, you guys are magicians. You are sorcerers. You are superhuman to me. And I bet you to a lot of people who put in the seats. And what is important is, and I think the point of this meeting is that we got to support each other, right? Because only we know what we go through. We know about the struggles of porta potties for outdoor events, or perfectly chilled grapes for hospitality, or running power through here, or lighting cues and trusses. There's another world that we live in that people sometimes don't appreciate, and I suspect some of y'all don't feel like you go unappreciated. So I'm here to tell you, you are appreciated, right? Even if they don't say it, I'm speaking for for all of the unspoken that are important. The other thing what I want to talk about, I know I'm running out of time, folks, and I'm going to wrap this up in a second, but there's another power that we have. And this idea of, I said it before, of controlling time. One of the most one of my proudest accomplishments with the festival is I use my platform to shine the light on people and brothers and sisters who are not here anymore. We are literally keeping people's memories alive. Here you have the brother DMX who passed away just a couple of years after he played our festival. DMX was struggling with his addiction and he was about to be arrested for tax evasion. We could have cut him from the lineup. We could have said, this is not the profitable thing to do. But we said, X is too important to the culture, too important to people's lives, too important to people locked up, too important to people to come home that they need to see him. And I lost a lot of money to do this. And I'll do it again. Because now, how many people that I affect were able to see X that maybe weren't really able to before? Here's another thing from hip hop fans. This is Prodigy from a group Mobb Deep, one of my favorite groups. Prodigy also died maybe a year or two after I did this book signing with him after he had played our festival. And you look at that smile on my face. That's the smile of a little kid who listened to this man's rhymes, argued about him, almost got into fist fights over lines with my friends in college. And now I'm looking like I did this. I brought him in front of this audience. He took pictures with my kids. He will not be forgotten. We are doing, as my father may say, we're doing God's work here, right? This is what the arts can do. Preserve his life. Again, here's another brother here, Mac Miller, who unfortunately overdosed. Again, not far after he played our festival. And I don't know how many times Mac was able to play a show in Brooklyn like us, but I'm proud, right, that I went out of my way to give this brother a platform so he will not be forgotten. And then again, for my Tribe Called Quest fans on the right is Phife Dawg, right? To a lot of people, this was the last time they ever saw Phife alive before he died from kidney failure associated with his diabetes. That's what I was dreamt about when I was little. That's what I did. And there are thousands of people who can say, I got this opportunity. It's magic. It's beyond dollars and cents. It's beyond selling tickets. It is magic. It is something above and beyond us that I almost get emotional looking at this picture. Sorry. I have so many memories of that day. But we have to lead because we have to realize that most people, as Paolo says, people are afraid to pursue their most important dreams because they feel they don't deserve them or that they will be unable to achieve them. But we know we can. We do it every day. So I'm sorry, I totally didn't mean to do this. I didn't think this was going to happen. But I think about the time that I spent, and I'm proud of it. And you all should be proud of what you've done as well. And sometimes they won't say it, but we're going to say it here, and we're going to shed a tear about the lives that you've changed. Maybe it's a trans person who didn't see themselves before, or a Latino person who's dealing with the discrimination out there. We're changing their lives. Wow, I totally didn't think that was going to happen. I'm going to calm down a little bit. And I'm going to be done. So this is the greatest rapper of all time. Tell the kids at home, it has been decided. This is KRS-One from the South Bronx. My idol, my sensei, my intellectual guidebook. And I just want to put a couple of lyrics in here before I get out of here and become a total mess and embarrass myself. But he has a song called The MC. And it talks about how the role of the MC in hip hop is more than just saying lyrics. That we are the griots, we are the connectors to our ancestors. And it says, showing my authority, superiority, and artistic minority, because party philosophy can only be carried out by who am I, the MC. No doubt predicting far ahead what will set the party off immensely. Artists can see into the future. We know what people will like even before it comes up. Then he has this other thing, which is, an acronym, his acronym for hip hop. Her infinite power helps oppressed people sent me to tell you, if you truly study lyrical flows and stay on your toes, you will be who am I, the MC. And as an MC, you will study verbal magic. But watch what you'll say because you'll attract it. Control your subconscious magnet from pulling in havoc. The things we say and we do will manifest. It is verbal magic. I will say I want to see Jay-Z, and then it is so. We are magicians, folks. We are alchemists. We have incredible, incredible power. Metalyrical, poetical, mystic MC. Hearing the voice of an ancient spirit MC. Premeditated worder. Killing negative concepts out of the mind of the observer MC. Because you deserve a break from counterfeits, frauds, and fakes. Conduct yourselves properly, MC. So I will leave you with that last word is, we are killing negative concepts. We are changing the world. We appreciate you. We love what you do. I know I speak for the whole organization and what I've little known of you. We appreciate you. But remember, as Kara said, conduct yourselves properly. Think about that young man, woman, that person in the audience who you may be affecting. And let's just push the ball a little bit further and get away from this world of hate that we've got sucked into. But we can do it together. So thank you for your time. Sorry for falling apart on you. But this is, I didn't realize it was going to be this important to me. Not that I didn't, Megan, I think it was important. But I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Wes, thank you. And you certainly did not embarrass yourself at all. I appreciate, and I hope you go back and read the comments, because we all appreciate you sharing yourself with us. And as Anita Thomas, who's one of our trustees, said, don't apologize for your emotion around your success. And I agree with Anita. We truly appreciate you being with us today. So in true Art Pride fashion, we're running a little bit behind, but we do have one question here for you, and I was hoping you might answer it. What would you tell someone who wanted to establish their own festival? What's one piece of advice you wish you had from the start?
Is spend some time poking holes in your own idea. One of the things, and reach out to people for help. As I've been thinking a lot about this, Adam, your organization, reading up, I wish there was something like this in Brooklyn. I'm not sure there is, but if there is, I was too dumb in the beginning to seek them out, too arrogant, too prideful. But you got people who here, Adam and his team, have dedicated their lives to supporting each other. Humble yourself and find, as you say, in order to become a master, you have to submit to a master. Find somebody smarter than you. Humble yourself and listen, take advice, and allow them to pick apart your idea and then build it back together. There's a lot of arrogance sometimes in the arts, right? We all think that we have the best way to do it. But I could tell you a couple of $100,000 in losses over a couple of years later. I wish I had sort of gone to people smarter than me and allowed them to cut it up. But take that and then, go on your personal journey. Like Santiago says, what you're going to achieve is going to be different from the person next to you to the person next to you. And you're going to take your lumps, but stay true to that vision, learn and really move forward. I hate to be too cliche, but one question I just want to get it out is get some advice shut up, and then be courageous and move forward. Somehow balance all of that energy.
I appreciate that. And again, I appreciate the vulnerability, and I appreciate the love for A Tribe Called Quest. It's one of my favorite. I mean, I put on the love movement, and that takes me to a time and place, Wes.
Yes,
so
sir.
It does. It does. So
yes,
magic. I appreciate you. We're gonna move along here, and thank you so much for your time. Before you go, you have to do me a favor and scroll back through the session chats, because there's a lot of love being sent your way. So when you turn off the camera, go and take that in, because you deserve it. We appreciate you.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you for that, and have a good rest of the day, y'all. Give thanks.
All right, take care, Wes. So we're going to move along here right into our panel, keep things moving. At Art Pride, we are proud to work in service of the industry. So when our members told us that they wanted to hear about the future of arts funding in New Jersey, we did our best to put together a group of thought leaders for this important discussion. Please join me in welcoming our panelists: Tanuja Dane, President and CEO of the Geraldine R. Dodge Foundation; Jeremy Grunnin, President of the Grunnin Foundation and Chair of the New Jersey Arts and Cultural Recovery Fund; and Allison Lorena, Executive Director of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. And today's panel will be expertly moderated by our friend, Craig Weinrich, Director of Member Services at the Council of New Jersey Grantmakers. Take it away, Craig.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks, Wes. That was fantastic. I could really listen to you all day. So without further ado, let's get into this panel discussion that, again, expertly put together by Art Pride, encompassing three of the largest arts funders, if not the three largest arts funders in New Jersey. So as you introduce yourself really quickly, can you also include the funding priorities for your organization? So we'll start alphabetically. So we'll go Allison first, Jeremy second, Tanuja third.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Adam and Allison. Glad to be here. Hello to my fellow panelists, Tanuja and Jeremy. Good to see you. So my name is Allison Lorena. I am the Executive Director of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. My pronouns are she, her, hers. The question is the priorities of the council's funding priorities right now. Okay. Well, I think that most of the people on the call, I have looked through the attendees list. It's great to see so many familiar names and some people I haven't met. I hope that changes in the coming months. Most of you are familiar with the State Arts Council, but I'll start really foundational and say that we are funded through the governor's budget. And this year, as Adam and Allison said at the beginning, it is a historic year for funding for the State Arts Council. Thank you to Art Pride. Thank you to all of the citizen advocates who've been moving mountains for many years to get us here to where we are today. And with that incredible support from the governor and the legislature, we have at the State Arts Council incredible responsibility. And we are entrusted with these public funds, and our priorities should, in a perfect world, reflect your priorities. And that is what we strive for. So when we looked at the opportunity we had before us, which was more funding than this agency had ever seen, and it happened to be inside the timeframe of a pandemic, it wasn't hard to realize that we had to focus on resiliency and stability and gaining balance again in the field, while also looking at the priorities you all told us you had that we share, which is creating a more equitable structure for funding, reaching organizations and artists that have not in our history typically been reached. How do we do that, right? So we have these long-term priorities that involve really reaching deep into our own policies and cultures and programs and making sure that we understand where we're falling short so that we can make change and learn. But our short-term priorities involve distributing funds so that people who are out of work can pay their bills, and distributing funds so that organizations who are planning through such incredible financial uncertainty can stay open. And so I think that's a broad answer to your question. If you want more detail, I'll try not to take up too much time, and I'll hand it off to the next one.
Thanks. Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Grunnin. I am the president of the Grunnin Foundation. I know that seems coincidental. We fund the arts, education, actually healthcare, primarily in Monmouth and Ocean County. And that is all under the kind of the umbrella of economic excellence, ecosystem growth. We also do a lot of capacity building work for folks in our area. We're trying to bring kind of national type trainings to local. So that we can, we can kind of rise the tides to lift all ships. So our funding priorities have really kind of evolved over the last 2 years. We've certainly put more of a focus now on equity and more of a focus on organizations that are serving at-promise communities. And we're also focusing on boards and leadership teams in those organizations. And frankly, we're asking questions around the journey, right? Because we know that not everybody is there, but we're definitely asking questions about what organizations are doing and how we can help. And so it's been certainly a difference for us over the last 2 years, and something that we certainly will be focused on going forward.
Thanks, Jeremy. Tanuja.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here, and thanks for this opportunity. It's always nice to share a panel with Allison and Jeremy and Craig. My name is Tanuja Daney. I'm the president and CEO of the Geraldine R. Dodge Foundation. My pronouns are she and hers, and I'm Zooming from my home. Welcome. On the land of the Lenape people. And so I really, really appreciated the land acknowledgement earlier today. So the Geraldine R. Dodge Foundation, as many of you know, funds the arts, education, news and media in informed communities, environment, and the Dodge Poetry Festival. And as many of you know, we set a course 5 years ago and began our equity journey in earnest. And in May of this year, we have refined our vision of a just and equitable New Jersey, focusing on root cause and repair of structural racism and inequities in New Jersey, and really focusing on those organizations, people, leaders closest to the harms and historically excluded from investment and opportunity. And this includes for us, as we think about our work going forward, access to Dodge funding, and including really connecting in some new spaces. We're also looking at and have changed many of our internal practices as we aspire to be an anti-racist organization. We have lots of work to do and aspire to be a racial equity and justice funder. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but we have already put quite a bit of action towards, with over $1 million in grants that we're calling Imagine a New Way grants just this year, in organizations that exemplify this work, that have been in this movement for many, many years in New Jersey already, focusing on social justice, immigration rights, criminal justice. So outside the scope and sphere of what Dodge has traditionally funded. We're also looking into and actually put action towards on more participatory grant making and community input as we think about our work going forward. So again, we're newcomers to the movement. Adam shared today the EDISJ action plan, which I think is outstanding. And so, we're glad to join the movement that so many others have joined as well. And so I will just pause there on the programmatic priorities. I know there's plenty for us to talk about.
Well, and thank you, because all of you already answered the second question that I already had, was how have the last 20 months changed your funding priorities? So what I'd like to do is actually kind of echoing what Wes was talking about, that just highlight our alchemy moment. So the Arts and Culture Recovery Fund, the idea germinated or started at one of our meetings of our arts and culture funders affinity group. So there is fantastic potential when funders get together and talk. That's one of the major purposes of the Council of New Jersey Grantmakers. So, and each of your organizations had a significant part to play in the beginnings of the Arts and Culture Recovery Fund. I think we all know now how much it's given out. So at this point, at this stage, what is the future of that fund? Where do you see it going? Can you explain a little bit more on that? Who wants to start with that?
I guess I'll
right,
start with that. So really exciting time for us. We have kind of learned so much over this last year plus as we've done what we can to get money as quickly as we can to the sector, and help folks in a way that we really aim to cut away any red tape and cut away any kind of any kind of extra work for organizations as folks were struggling. We also, I think, started to focus on individual artists, right, through intermediary grants that I think were impactful, and we plan to continue that. In fact, our next round of funding will involve intermediaries and will involve getting to individual artists and the folks that are really directly most impacted by COVID. And it's a very exciting time for us also because we, in the next week and a half, have our new executive director starting. So we have an executive director who will be full-time, focused on the fund and focused on the on how we move forward and where we move forward. As we also look to shift from COVID recovery to sector recovery, right? So that could mean IDA. That could mean, so many other things that impact organizations in a catastrophic way, or in a way that interrupts their ability to deliver to the folks that they serve. And of course, we will continue at the Arts and Culture Recovery Fund to focus on at Promise Communities, focus on equity, focus on organizations that are BIPOC-led organizations. That's important to the group. Allison and Tanuja both also, Allison is on the steering committee. Tanuja's organization was the Dodge was one of the first major funders, along with Prudential and myself. And so it's really been an unbelievable example of collective impact and the ability of organizations to bond together in a way that can get out to the communities they serve. So I'll stop there, and Allison, you can fill in all the stuff I missed.
Well, Jeremy, I don't think you missed anything. I think I would maybe just add, Craig, back to the original question, which is what have you learned over the last year and a half or 2 years? And to my understanding, this kind of coalition of New Jersey funders has not happened before in this way. If I'm wrong, I'd love to learn about when it did happen. But being part of this has been really exciting, and we didn't know a year and a half ago if it would work. We didn't know if we could raise the money. We didn't know if we could get it out the door quick enough. We didn't know how we could fill the gaps in New Jersey's funding landscape. And I think what's so exciting about what Jeremy mentioned about what's going to happen in a year and a half is we did figure out a way to do it, and we want it to stick around, right? So this hiring of an executive director means that this fund has purpose and it's valued in the field and it's got a future. Exactly what that is, I think, is for us to stay flexible to figure out. But right now, what we know is it's here and it's not going anywhere right now. And I think that's really exciting. And I think the opportunities for diversifying the funding sources in New Jersey. Interesting, it comes from the funders in New Jersey, but it's a really important, I think, critical addition to our landscape.
And if I could just add something, Craig,
yes, please.
The Dodge Foundation, I would say, is a super fan of the Arts and Culture Recovery Fund. And And one of the reasons is that it's so appealing is that it's, first of all, it's an enduring fund, first of its kind in this state, the coalition building amongst funders, but the opportunity to kind of add to a multi-pronged arts funding strategy. As we think about it at Dodge, the Arts and Culture Recovery Fund kind of reaches and taps into spaces different than the spaces that we are in. And even aspires to, individual artists support, and again, the concept of an enduring fund. And so we're so excited that there's a new, leadership, and so, yeah, I just had to put in the plug. And again, the coalition building and the co-funding and the opportunity to fundraise even outside of the state, I think is extremely powerful.
I'll also add, there were people and individuals and other funders that normally weren't arts funders that contributed to this fund. So you have, through this fund, expanded the pool of funders for that fund. So I certainly applaud all of you for helping leverage that kind of, I don't necessarily want to say new funding, but different funding from people that aren't normally thought of as arts funders in New Jersey that arts organizations can approach. So thank you. So from here, where do you think the future of arts funding goes? So from your foundation in particular, and to put words in my mouth, from where you think philanthropy as a whole in New Jersey goes with arts funding. So Allison, let's start with you.
Sure. I'm happy to weigh in on my perspective and the perspective from the State Arts Council. I certainly don't have the answer. I don't know where it's going. I know where it's going for us right now. And actually the Council of New Jersey Grantmakers, once again, your power of convening, you're bringing funders together on a regular basis. And we're having these conversations that are, based on public feedback, grantee and applicant feedback about what they need, what people need now. And the uncertainty, the financial uncertainty and the public health uncertainty that is just, hard to put our arms around now and for the next, few years. Most nonprofits believe that next year, the year after might even be harder than last year because of that uncertainty. And so as a funder, how do you help? How do you create or help organizations and individuals in the sector build a safety net so they can still put one foot in front of the other? And I think for us at the State Arts Council, what we're looking at is, multi-year support. We're looking at largely unrestricted support. We're trying to infuse as much trust as we can into our process so we can, cut the red tape, like Jeremy said, and put the dollars into the hands of the people doing the work because you know best what you need. And so, what is the future? I think for us at the State Arts Council, those who are grantees saw a lot of changes this year already. We removed a match. We extended our multi-year operating program. We removed some eligibility criteria. We're trying to really open access to our state dollars, which does not mean that they're accessible to everyone. We have work to do. As Tanisha said, we are also along our own journey to figure out what really does an equitable grant maker look like? What does a grant maker invested in social and positive change in our communities look like? And so for us right now, as we look to the next 2 to 5 years, we're looking at how do we unrestrict our dollars, maintain accountability. How do we, open the gates as far as we can so that people who hadn't typically come in can come in? And how do we encourage more collaboration? I think that we just talked about collaboration on the funder level and the kind of real change we can make together. And the same is true for organizations and culture workers when, we've seen the last 2 years, when we collaborate, we've always known that, though, I think, in the arts in New Jersey. Collaboration is sort of what we do, but it's become more important than ever.
Thanks, Allison. Tanisha, let's turn it over to you. Put on your prognosticating cap here.
Yeah, I'd say that the last 2 years have really changed so much in the funding space. We talked about the collaboration, the coalition building. I hope and actually don't think it will go away. I think we have realized that we are indeed stronger together when we can co-fund and then leverage resources in and outside of the state. I do think, unrestricted general operating support is the trend and should stay. We shifted our funding in the beginning of the pandemic from project support to the extent it was project operating support, and almost all of our funding remains at general operating support. There's a small piece of it that is project, but we expect that to stay, that unrestricted, you do you grants. And then, there's trends in looking at individual artists, collectives, non-501c3s, and looking beyond the structures of fiscally sponsored organizations. And I even put organizations in quotes. And, we as funders need to think outside of the box, think creatively. And, it's easy for me to say as a lawyer, but to we shouldn't be beholden to our current reality as we think about expanding and connecting in new spaces. If we're really committed to, centering, people, organization, leaders that have been historically excluded from funding. So I think, the future is open, and we're much more flexible and agile as a community. And I hope we keep that flexibility and agility.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'll just add, for us, it's very much about collective impact and collaboration. It's about large organizations that are working with really kind of boots on the ground organizations. And vice versa. What you find oftentimes, I think, is smaller arts organizations that don't necessarily have capacity, but they do understand their geography, and they understand how to make impact. They just don't have necessarily, again, the capacity. So, and then you see the large organizations that have lots of capacity, but don't necessarily, but sometimes can be somewhat tone deaf to their communities. Right. So it's important for us that those organizations work together and are maximizing on each other's strengths. Of course, equity continues. That is, you can't go on a funder call and not have that be a discussion point, and rightfully so, I might add. And then the thing I'm going to add is, I think, particularly for the arts, is really kind of tying it all together for a funder, how the arts are going to make an impact in the community. It's not just about we're going to put up an installation and people are going to look at it and say it's beautiful. That's great, but what's it doing, right? Like what does that mean for local businesses, right? Does that mean that people are going to stay there and shop? Does that mean that people are going to stay there and eat? Does that mean, what is the impact? Or how is it going to unlock a young mind, right? Like, how is it going to take a student and have them think differently? Not necessarily so that one day they're an artist per se, but maybe they're an ad executive or a project manager, or one of the gazillions of jobs that haven't been invented yet. As we know, most haven't been for the kids that are in school right now. So I think those are what I'm seeing and hearing, and certainly what are important to us.
Great, thank you. I'll pause here to give Adam a little bit of time to sort through any questions that have come through the chat, so that he can kind of filter those questions our way. Hopefully a relatively quick question for all of you. How often do you want to hear from your nonprofit partners? More than just during the time of funding applications, or do you want to hear updates from them in terms of what's going on?
Craig, do you mean formal input, or do you mean, what do you mean?
having conversations with your nonprofit partners beyond just the funding request, so that they know, so that you know what is going on with their organization, and so that they know that you know what's going on with the organization, and developing the relationship beyond the funding dollars. For example, I remember at one of those arts and culture funder meetings, one particular person at a foundation was saying, I hadn't heard from some of my funding partners what was going on, even though COVID had shut everything down for a few months. So do you want to be in dialogue with those?
Craig, and I don't want to answer for everybody, but I certainly think I'm going to have a very different answer than Allison and Tanuja. Like,
that's okay.
So for me, for example, I sit on 18 boards, right? And my staff all sit on boards, and so we like to kind of be in the mix with our partners, right? But I have the ability to, because we're in Monmouth and Ocean County, and we think we know, well, we do know just about every nonprofit in Monmouth and Ocean County. So I think that's the way we work. Obviously, if I ran the State Arts Council or ran the Dodge Foundation, that's not something I could do. So I think but I think that's why we have this representative group here. But I'll stop talking on this one and move on to Allison and Tanuja.
I'll chime in, Tanuja, if that's all right. I can't imagine adding another element of even required communication from our grantees. I feel like there is an ongoing communication stream that we have, partly because it's required. But one of the things that we did in last year, and we're going to continue it, something we learned that we really liked during the pandemic, was we used to require for our general operating support grants an interim report, which was tied to part of the payment. One of the things that we did during as a result of the pandemic and during it is instead of releasing our grants 50, 25, 25%, we front loaded at 75% and then 25%. But we didn't want to miss that opportunity to check in the middle of the year. So we instituted what we call an interim conversation. And it's a check-in, and it's an opportunity to, Craig, as you said, build on the relationship that we have. It's not so much accountability as it is, how are you? What's going on? Are things going as planned? If they're not, can we help you? What's happening? And it's not tied to a payment. And it's really more about checking in to be supportive. So I don't think that we will be adding more of that, but I think we have a lot.
Tanuja.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, we have kind of shifted from calling things site visits, to be perfectly honest, to check-ins. And we begin with how are you? And just really connecting at a more human level. And we don't want that to go away. I think the check-ins are really, really important. The relationship building and it being less transactional is also really important to us as well. Of course, time is of the essence, and there's only so much time on all ends. And so we're really trying at the Dodge Foundation to minimize the work involved in accessing Dodge funding, including the reports and the applications. And so we're really interrogating all of our processes, but inviting folks to reach out. If you want to update, you want to share, please do so. We want to keep that human connection and that touch, but keep it less transactional and more of the how is everybody doing, because this remains a very difficult time.
Thank you. Thank you all so far. So Adam, any questions from the audience? And you're muted. Adam, sorry, you're muted.
Now I did it just so Allison wouldn't feel bad about it. It just is, right? We can't help it. We all do it. I'm saying that we have a question from Barbara Heisler of Organizations by Design, which is a consulting firm. And Barbara's firm is an ArtPride member. So Barbara's asking, many arts organizations are collaborating, but don't apply for funding together, since history shows that generally one grant to 2 organizations will be smaller than 2 grants to 2 organizations, negatively affecting reach. As you consider funding and supporting collaborations, will you also think about scale?
All right, Allison, I'll throw that to you since you are nodding pretty vigorously there.
I mean, I would actually throw it over to Jeremy only because we don't currently have a program. No pressure. You keep drinking. We currently don't have a program that is built to encourage collaboration with funding attached to it. That's more in our service and professional development work. But Barbara makes an important point. I think that if a funder is going to be encouraging collaboration and tying certain dollars to it, that doesn't seem like the right, that scenario described sounds like a loss, right? Which is not the point. And so I don't think it would be built that way.
No, so for us, so we're proactive grant makers, meaning that I don't have a grant process. If we ask you to fill something out, that means that you already got the money, right? So that's the way it works with us. And we don't fund at like specific levels, meaning, like we're not giving out $25,000 grants and saying you can only, and if you work together, you still only get 25,000. That's not, we fund projects. And frankly, not to insult anybody on this call, but we're agnostic to the organization. It doesn't matter to us. It's not about the organization. It's about the impact, and it's about who we're going to serve. So regardless of whether the organization, is called, the NJ PAC or John's Place, we really don't care. We fund the program.
Do you want to chime in with anything there?
I will say that as we are exploring and interrogating all of our processes, we are looking to provide larger grants and to fewer grantees. And scale is something we're very much looking at. And to Jeremy's point, funding the work and right-sizing the grants commensurate to the work. And so that's how we're approaching this as we are moving forward.
Craig, we have one more question, and we have about time for one last question here. I think it's a good one. And then we're going to move on and wrap up today's event. So we have a question here. It's in the chat there. How do you advise arts organizations not currently receiving funding from your organization to build a relationship? And this is from, I'm just trying to make sure, Mordiana Celeste Verricchio, and I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong, the producing artistic director at the Mosaic Dance Theater Company. I think this is a great one to ask because we actually have over 250 people with us today, many of them with established relationships with one of the three of you. But
Adam, I'm gonna go ahead and put Allison and Tanuja's cell phone number right in the chat for everybody, so you could just call or text. They're available anytime. You can hit me up on any social media whatsoever. Probably most bathrooms across the state, I have my phone number on them also. So our philosophy as a foundation is that we never say no to a meeting, quite honestly. And the reason that we do that is we never know when you're going to meet somebody that may not fit with what the work you're doing is, but may be somebody that you can match somebody else up with, or that may fit with something you're doing 6 months down the road or 6 years down the road. So we like meeting new folks, so we're easy like that.
I'll agree with that and say that we at the State Arts Council, right, we exist to serve the public. It's our job. So if you want to have a meeting or a conversation with us, all of our numbers are listed on our website, and all you have to do is reach out. I think there are. I think that there are a lot of paths into State Arts Council or state resources. Your county arts agency is one, depending on where you're located, and also direct to us, which is easy to find. And
I would agree with Jeremy and Allison, and I'll also send Jeremy's cell phone in the text too. But no, it's exciting to meet new organizations, new people, and see what's out there for whether it's a potential relationship with Dodge, or also connecting within the networks as well. I would say that stay tuned. If 2022 is going to be a big year. I'm writing checks on my and everyone else's behalf about Dodge's programmatic priorities and simplified application process coming in 2022. Because we know that the community is, just seeking some more clarity about our work going forward. And that's what we hope to be able to provide again in 2022. But yeah, we like to meet new people. Fun. So, and then I'll give you Jeremy's text.
So thank you, all three of you, for your candid responses. Really appreciate it. Just one last thing that I would say is continue to be in touch with ArtPride to know what's going on, and listen to them for the times when you can advocate, especially for continued increased funding to the State Arts Council. I know Allison would appreciate hearing that. But that is something that the power of this whole group, the more government officials hear from us how important the arts are, the better the possibility of continued funding is going to be, and increased support from every part of the state. So thank you very much for the time. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Tanuja, Allison, and Jeremy. Adam, back to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Craig, Allison, Jeremy, Tanuja, for being here today and for your persistent and generous support of the arts. And we are wrapping up here, but we have a few tricks left in the bag. I'd like to welcome back Isha for our next introduction.
Thank you again, Adam. So what would our annual meeting be without arts, right? And while today we do have Amira Shabazz Bilal joining us, we are very excited to share a pre-recorded spoken word performance by her. She'll be reciting from her book, Breathing Through Concrete.
Good evening. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have been invited to share a couple of poems out of my brand new book, Breathing Through Concrete. Tonight's program is all about students educating and sharing the vibes. We have Coney coming on later. So without further ado, I'd like to share a couple of pieces. I'm going to start with pieces that deal with the pandemic. The first poem is from the pandemic of 1918 to 1920. And it has no title. And the people stayed home and read books and listened, and they rested and they did exercises and made art and played and learned new ways of being, and stopped and listened more deeply. And someone meditated and someone prayed and someone met their shadow and people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people who lived ignorant ways, dangerous, meaningless, heartless ways, the earth also began to heal. And when the danger ended, the people found themselves and they grieved for their dead and made new choices and dreamed new visions and created new ways of living and completely healed the earth. Completely healed the earth as they, too, were healed. That was the first piece from the pandemic of 1918, and I'm going to move directly into the pandemic that we're now facing, the pandemic of 2020-21. So this one is entitled, The People Looked On. The people looked on. Their eyes tracing chalk lines on streets so near, touching their own feet. Soaking in trauma like wet sponges left dirty in sinks. And the people looked on. And the cold sponge keeps pain and loss trapped in dawn suds that it can't get out. And it raises souls from the cracks in streets. and the people looked on, and eyes soaked with burning pain, tears from suds of lost residue, and souls seep out and run down concrete streets into the basin of the souls of the city, and on and on and on. And someone finally yelled through the stilled silence, "It's Be Still Monday!" Through a cracked voice of pain, and the people looked on. And I saw a mother cry, wreathing in pain from the cavity of her bosom, tired from screaming, "I'm dying, I'm dying," as they kill our sons in streets. And the people looked on. And another person yelled, "No, it's Tuesday." And the people looked on. So maybe therein lies the problem of it all. Paralyzation because of internal separation. And maybe we've lost track of the days, burdened by time that's laden with pain, laden with distraction, laden with self-consumption. Maybe days are lost because they have no names, and maybe they fade into one another, one big lump of minutes. Used to get more stuff, more clout, more power to take more lives, hope, potential joy, life. What an uneven exchange. But it's the way it is. It's the way it is because of redefining and reclaiming, redefining our time collectively. So the people looked on and on and on, and someone said, "We do us. We do us and they do us live on Facebook. They record our sounds and our screeches from our souls. So let the record speak. Twisted truths and naked facts disregarded, and the people looked on and on. And the statistics of war and Teflon sensory grows. Our wooden soldiers with Teflon hearts and bulletproof fingertips pointing death at each other's neck. No one has taught them to use words to resolve conflict. Fighting over streets that don't belong to people who don't even look like them. Killing each other over colors that belong only to the rainbow. And the people looked on. The mother, in unbelievable anguish, sinks to the ground on her knees. Bony fingers cover her face, tears flowing like a river of pain. She looks at the heaven and screams out, "Help, help, help me. Don't kill our sons." And the people looked on. But heaven can't help her. It only awaits her, and help is nowhere to be found. Only onlookers with cameras on hand, vying for who can get the most likes. And the people look on and on and on, seeing reflections in letters of gold, shimmering, beautiful gold, hoping to matter. And the people looked on. And that is the poem for Pandemic 2020-2021.
Thank you, Amir, for allowing us to share your beautiful art with our friends today. Appreciate it. We're about to close out the meeting. I'm gonna welcome back our esteemed board chair, Allison Lorena, to help me close out this afternoon's meeting. But Allison, I just got a note from the team that I think Vince has the second spot from the Discover Jersey Arts up with the audio, so we're gonna try and run that real quick.
Great.
Hey, Jersey, we know it's been a while, but creativity never sleeps. Behind the scenes, we followed our passions, turned inspiration into form, challenged convention, made our mark, and created work from a new point of view. Now our spaces have come back to life, and we can't wait to show you. We're open and ready to welcome you back safely. Come experience the moments you've been waiting for. Find yours at jerseyarts.com.
I'm like watching it, and I was just at the Stedman Gallery at Rutgers Camden Center for the Arts yesterday with our Vice Chair Noreen Scott Garrity, and I just saw saw those images in there. So I'm glad we could run that. And thank you. Go ahead, Allison, and we can close out the day.
Thank you, Adam. Great piece. And thank you, everyone who joined us this afternoon and all the participants this afternoon. Before you go, please, I'd like to take a moment to provide an immediate call to action. Vote. Election day is 1 week from today, and this year is very important to our state, and the entire legislature, as you know, is up for re-election as well. So please go out and vote next Tuesday. Each year, ArtPride distributes surveys to all incumbent legislators and challengers in order to inform residents about each candidate's position on the arts. And results of these surveys are available in the resources section of the ArtPride website. So log on to the ArtPride website. There's a lot of great information at artpridenj.org to see many things, including how your candidates responded to this survey.
And if you're involved in marketing for your arts organization in any way, please embrace the reopening campaign, the moments you've been waiting for, by using the campaign's branding, the graphics, the COVID safety messaging that was created by the marketing task force, and sharing it all on social. And as we mentioned, post-election day, get ready for that next round of advocacy as we focus on American Rescue Plan funding in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you again to everyone. Thank you, Adam, for your incredible leadership. Thank you to our board, staff, volunteers, and speakers who made this afternoon possible.
Yes, thank you, Allison, for your leadership. We appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Stay well and have a great day.